In 1952, German scientists monitoring the Earth's atmosphere detected something astonishing, a constant vibration pulsing through the planet, later called the Schumann resonance. It measured precisely 7.83 hertz, the same frequency that the human brain emits when in deep meditation. Mystics claimed it was no coincidence. They said this was the God frequency, the rhythm of divine consciousness itself, and that every human being could tune into it, not with machines, not with drugs, but with something far more ancient and sacred, the breath. Across thousands of years and cultures, from the secret chambers of Egyptian temples to Himalayan caves, initiates whispered of a hidden key. That breath is not merely air, but life force, prana, spirit. They believe that through certain breathing patterns, one could awaken dormant parts of the brain and experience the divine directly. What if everything you've been searching for, peace, clarity, connection, has been inside your lungs this entire time? What if, by mastering your own breathing, you could activate the frequency of creation itself? Today, we'll uncover how a simple sequence of breath can open the gateway to the infinite, and show you how to enter the God frequency using only your breath. Modern life has become a symphony of distraction. Our attention is fractured between screens, deadlines, notifications, and the constant hum of noise that fills every waking hour. We breathe, but only barely. Most people take shallow, rapid breaths, chest high, disconnected from the belly, from the life force that nourishes every cell. This unconscious breathing mirrors the unconscious way many of us live, reactive, hurried, and hollow. We are, in a very real sense, suffocating our own awareness. The deeper tragedy is that this disconnection has become normal. People mistake anxiety for productivity, tension for control, exhaustion for success. Yet beneath all the chaos, there's a quiet yearning, a sense that something essential is missing. We chase external fixes, coffee, entertainment, affirmation, even spirituality, in the form of constant searching. But the truth is simpler and far more intimate. The divine connection we've lost has not disappeared. It's merely been drowned out by noise. Breath is the most immediate bridge between body and spirit, yet we treat it as mechanical. The ancient masters understood that how you breathe is how you live. Rapid breath means scattered thought. Shallow breath means shallow perception. But when you slow your breath, something extraordinary happens. The body softens, the mind stills, and the veil between you and the infinite begins to thin. This is the hidden problem of our time. We've forgotten to breathe with awareness, and because of that, we've forgotten how to feel the divine pulse within us. But there is a way back. A method so simple, it almost sounds impossible. Using your own breath to retune your frequency to the rhythm of creation. When you remember how to breathe as the ancients once did, you remember who you truly are, a being of light, sound, and consciousness, vibrating in harmony with the universe itself. Long before science measured brainwaves or mapped the nervous system, ancient civilizations already knew the power that lived within a single breath. In Egypt, the priests of Thoth spoke of Sa, the divine essence carried in air, capable of awakening the hidden chambers of the mind. In India, yogic masters called it prana, the vital energy that animates the cosmos. The Chinese called it qi, the force flowing through meridians that links heaven, earth, and humanity. And in the Hebrew scriptures, ruach meant both breath and spirit. Different names, one truth. Breath is the living bridge between the human and the divine. These traditions taught that the breath was sacred, not because of the air itself, but because of the consciousness moving through it. They believe that every inhalation draws in cosmic intelligence, and every exhalation releases limitation. In secret temples, initiates train to slow their breathing until their heartbeat aligned with the earth's rhythm, allowing them to enter altered states of awareness. In these moments, they claim to hear the hum of creation, the same 7.83 Hertz frequency that modern science would rediscover millennia later. The ancients understood something we are only beginning to remember, that divinity is not somewhere above us, but pulsing within our cells, waiting to be felt. When you learn to breathe as they did, not automatically, but consciously, the physical act of inhaling becomes a spiritual invocation. You are no longer just a person trying to survive. You become a vessel through which the universe breathes itself. This is the forgotten secret. You are designed to access the divine frequency through your own body. Your breath is both the key and the doorway. And when you use it with intention, you don't just calm your mind. You awaken the part of you that has never been asleep, only unheard. To understand how the God frequency works, we must bridge the worlds of science and spirit. Two languages describing the same truth from different sides of the veil. Modern neuroscience tells us that our brain operates on frequencies just like a radio. When we're anxious or overthinking, our brainwaves spike into the fast-moving beta range. But when we meditate, pray, or breathe deeply, the waves slow into alpha and theta states. The very frequencies associated with creativity, intuition, and transcendence. The most extraordinary discovery came when scientists began studying monks, yogis, and advanced meditators. Their brains showed bursts of high-frequency gamma waves, states of perfect synchronization across both hemispheres. These individuals weren't just calm, they were coherent. Every cell, every neuron pulsed in unison. It's this coherence that ancient texts called divine union, or samadhi. In physics, coherence means alignment. In spirituality, it means awakening. And the tool to reach this alignment isn't hidden in any lab or monastery. It's right beneath your nose. When you breathe consciously, you influence the vagus nerve, the command center of your parasympathetic nervous system. Slow, rhythmic breathing lowers cortisol, slows heart rate, and activates the prefrontal cortex, the seat of wisdom and compassion. In effect, your body becomes a finely tuned instrument, resonating at frequencies of peace and clarity. Even more fascinating is the role of the pineal gland, the so-called seat of the soul. This small gland, located deep within the brain, regulates melatonin and helps maintain circadian rhythm, rhythm. But mystics and researchers alike believe it does far more. When oxygen and cerebrospinal fluid circulate rhythmically, something conscious breath can enhance. The pineal gland becomes electrically charged. In that moment, it releases compounds that generate vivid light and sound experiences within the mind. Ancient yogis describe this as the inner light, while modern researchers have recorded measurable electromagnetic activity corresponding to these states. HeartMath Institute studies add another layer. They discovered that when your breathing synchronizes with your heartbeat, roughly 6 breaths per minute, a phenomenon called heart-brain coherence occurs. The electrical patterns of your heart begin to harmonize with those of your brain, producing a feeling of unity, peace, and oneness. That's not a metaphor. It's physics. So what is the God frequency? It's not a mystical number floating in the ether. It's a biological, neurological, and energetic harmony within you. It's when the frequencies of your brain, heart, and breath synchronize into coherence. When thought and emotion become one, and awareness expands beyond the self. At that moment, you're not reaching out to the divine. You are remembering that you've been divine all along. Science explains the mechanics, but spirituality reveals the mystery. Breath is not only a biological function, it is the divine rhythm that sustains creation. Every spiritual tradition has echoed this truth in its own way. In the Bible, Genesis says that God breathed into man the breath of life, and man became a living soul. In Hinduism, it is said that Brahman exhales the universe into existence and inhales it back in an endless cosmic rhythm. In Taoism, the Tao breathes itself into yin and yang, the pulse of existence. Even indigenous tribes speak of the wind or spirit that animates all beings. The message is universal. The breath of the universe and your breath are one and the same. When you inhale, you are not merely taking in oxygen. You are taking in spirit, prana, ruach, chi, the invisible force that animates life. When you exhale, you are releasing not just carbon dioxide, but also tension, fear, and the illusions that keep you small. Each breath is an act of creation and dissolution, a cycle of life, death, and rebirth, happening countless times a day. The ancient mystics taught that by harmonizing one's breathing with intention and awareness, a person could align their vibration with the pulse of the cosmos. This is not poetry. It is a living experience. When breath slows, the mind quiets, and the heart begins to speak. In that silence, you can feel the whisper of eternity, the sacred hum that all prophets, poets, and sages have sought to describe, but never fully capture. In mystical practice, this state was known as the divine union, where the individual self dissolves into universal awareness. You are no longer you as you know yourself. You become the breath that moves through all things. The boundaries of identity blur. You feel energy moving not only through your body, but through the air, the sound, the very fabric of existence. Time dissolves. You enter the field of infinite consciousness, the God frequency. This isn't escapism or fantasy. It's the direct recognition that your consciousness is not separate from the source. Every inhalation reconnects you with the infinite intelligence that breathes galaxies into being. Every exhalation reminds you that letting go is not loss, but return. In this union of science and spirituality, you discover that enlightenment isn't about transcending the human experience. It's about breathing divinity into it. The breath becomes prayer, meditation, and communion all at once. The ordinary act of breathing transforms into a sacred ritual, an eternal conversation between your soul and the source from which all things arise. Before you can enter the God frequency, you must first prepare your vessel, your body, your mind, your field of awareness. Breathwork is not a performance. It's a sacred ritual. The space you create around you and within you determines the depth of the experience. Think of it as tuning an instrument before a symphony. Find a quiet place where you won't be disturbed for at least 20 minutes. Dim the lights or light a candle. Sit upright with your spine elongated, or lie flat if you prefer comfort over discipline. The goal is stillness without strain. If you sit, rest your hands on your thighs with palms facing upward, a symbol of receptivity. Before you even begin to breathe consciously, close your eyes and feel the weight of your body against the earth. Notice the subtle vibration beneath you, the same pulse that moves through the trees, the wind, and your own heartbeat. Now, bring your attention to your intention. This is the moment where science meets spirit. Your intention acts like a frequency dial. Without it, your energy scatters. With it, your consciousness becomes a laser beam. You may choose an intention such as to reconnect with divine intelligence, to open my inner vision, or simply to be fully present. Whisper it inwardly 3 times as though planting a seed in the fertile soil of silence. Then, soften your entire being. Release the tightness in your jaw, the heaviness in your shoulders, the grip of your stomach. The breath cannot flow freely through a tense body. Imagine your muscles melting like wax beneath a warm flame. Let your spine feel suspended between heaven and earth, weightless yet anchored. Awareness is your gateway. As you settle, notice your natural breathing pattern without trying to change it. Feel the cool air entering your nostrils, traveling down into your lungs, and the warmth as it leaves. Observe this for a few minutes. This observation alone begins to slow your breath, preparing your nervous system to enter coherence. Finally, offer a silent invitation to the divine. This is not about religion or dogma. It's about remembrance. You might inwardly say, "With every breath, I return to the source." Feel gratitude for this moment, the sacred meeting of body, breath, and consciousness. You are now standing at the threshold of a hidden dimension, where breath becomes the bridge to infinity. Now that you are prepared in body and mind, we begin the technique, the gateway to the God frequency. This breathing sequence is deceptively simple, yet profoundly transformative when performed with full awareness. It works by harmonizing your breath, brain, and heart into resonance with the Earth's natural vibration. Follow these steps slowly, without rush or expectation. Begin by inhaling deeply through your nose for a count of 4. Feel the air entering your nostrils like liquid light, descending all the way to your abdomen. Allow your belly to expand first, then your chest, then your collarbones. You are not forcing the air in. You are receiving it as a sacred current of life. Hold that breath gently for a count of 4, not with tension, but with reverence. In that stillness, imagine your body glowing faintly with golden energy. Then exhale through your mouth for a count of 6, as though releasing all that no longer serves you. Feel the breath leave your body like a gentle wave returning to the sea. Continue this rhythm. Inhale 4, hold 4, exhale 6, for several minutes. As your breath slows, your thoughts will begin to dissolve. This is the descent from the surface mind into the deep waters of awareness. With each cycle, imagine your breath as a pendulum, swinging between heaven and earth. You are the midpoint, the meeting place of the infinite and the finite. After about 10 rounds, shift into a slightly deeper rhythm. Inhale through the nose for 6 counts, hold for 6, and exhale for 8. This extended pattern stimulates your vagus nerve, calming the body and synchronizing the heart's rhythm with the brain's electromagnetic field. As you breathe, imagine a soft light at the center of your chest, your heart, expanding outward with each inhalation. With every exhalation, feel that light merging with the world around you. The boundaries between inner and outer begin to blur. Now, introduce the sound of the Om frequency within yourself, not by speaking it, but by silently humming it in your mind as you exhale. Imagine this sound vibrating through your skull, down your spine, into the earth. Feel the resonance of it in your bones. This is the moment where the physical and the subtle converge. Your brain begins to oscillate in theta and gamma waves, the same frequencies recorded in deep meditation and peak creative states. At this stage, your breath will begin to breathe you. There is no more effort, only flow. Each inhalation feels like divine energy entering your being. Each exhalation feels like surrender to something vast and benevolent. The rhythm stabilizes naturally, as though your body has remembered an ancient song. You might begin to see colors behind your eyelids: blue, violet, gold, or feel gentle pulsations at your forehead and crown. These are signs that your electromagnetic field is realigning. Continue for 10 to 15 minutes. Allow your awareness to expand beyond the body. Feel as though you are floating in an ocean of vibration, timeless and boundless. You are no longer doing a technique. You have become the breath itself. To conclude, gradually lengthen your exhalations and allow your breathing to return to normal. Place your hands over your heart. Whisper inwardly, "I am aligned with the divine frequency of creation." Sit quietly for a few moments, letting the stillness integrate into your awareness. The God frequency has been awakened within you, not as a concept, but as a living vibration. As you enter the rhythm of the God frequency, something remarkable begins to unfold within you. Not merely in imagination, but in measurable, physiological reality. The breath becomes a conductor of energy, and your entire system begins to hum in resonance. You may first notice subtle sensations: a tingling in your fingertips, a pulsing at your forehead, or waves of warmth cascading down your spine. These are not random effects. They are signs of energy circulation, the awakening of your bioelectrical field as it attunes to coherence. Your heart begins to slow and deepen its rhythm. The body's stress chemistry dissolves, and the parasympathetic system, your natural healing response, activates fully. As this happens, blood flow increases to the brain's frontal lobes, unlocking heightened clarity, creativity, and intuition. You might sense a deep calm, unlike ordinary relaxation. A stillness that feels alive, alert, almost luminous. Time loses its grip. A minute can feel like an eternity, or eternity like a single breath. At this stage, something deeper occurs. The mind's chatter fades into silence. You begin to feel awareness expanding beyond the body, as though you are both the observer and the observed. In many traditions, this state is called samadhi, satori, or communion. In scientific terms, it's known as neural synchrony, the moment when the brain's hemispheres vibrate in unison, allowing information to flow freely between logic and intuition. In the heart, this translates into a sense of love that seems to have no source and no object. You are not loving something or someone. You are love itself. Many people experience visual phenomena during this state: flickers of light, geometric patterns, or radiant colors. These manifestations arise from increased electrical activity in the visual cortex and pineal gland, the same gland ancient mystics called the inner eye. Some report hearing a gentle hum or tone, like a cosmic vibration in the background of silence. This, too, is natural. You are perceiving the electromagnetic resonance of your own consciousness interacting with the field of creation. Emotionally, the transformation can be profound. Suppressed feelings may surface: grief, joy, awe, even tears. The breath acts as a current that carries these old energies out of the body. Do not resist them. Simply breathe through. The release is part of the realignment. Once the waves pass, you will feel lighter, clearer, more centered. The energy that was once bound in tension becomes available as vitality, intuition, and radiant peace. What truly defines this experience is not what you see or feel, but the silence that follows. After the session, as your breath returns to its natural rhythm, there is a vast stillness inside. A silence that hums with intelligence. You may find your thoughts softer, your perception sharper. The world appears more vivid. Colors seem brighter, sounds more harmonious. This isn't illusion. It's perception unfiltered by stress or ego. You are seeing through the eyes of coherence. This is the state mystics referred to as divine remembrance. The awareness that you are not a separate being, seeking connection, but the very expression of the connection itself. You are the breath of the universe, the sound between the stars, the awareness experiencing itself. And when you reach this state through your own breath, it doesn't come and go like a fleeting high. It stays with you, subtly reshaping how you think, move, and relate to life. You've now entered the doorway to the infinite, not through external belief, but through internal resonance. The God frequency isn't a mystery anymore. It's a lived experience. You feel it every time you close your eyes and return to the sacred rhythm of your breath. When you begin to practice this technique regularly, the transformation deepens far beyond the meditation itself. The first thing you'll notice is that your inner landscape starts to change. The noise that once ruled your mind softens into background static, replaced by a steady current of peace. You find yourself responding to life differently, less from habit, more from awareness. The breath becomes your anchor, a constant reminder that serenity is only one conscious inhalation away. Neuroscience explains part of this shift. Each time you enter the God frequency state, you strengthen neural pathways associated with calm, focus, and compassion. The brain's amygdala, the alarm center of fear, quiets, while the prefrontal cortex, responsible for empathy and insight, lights up. Over time, these changes become permanent. Your nervous system learns coherence as its default mode. Even in chaos, your inner rhythm remains undisturbed. You carry the stillness of your breath into traffic, conversations, and challenges that once triggered you. Spiritually, something even more beautiful unfolds. The boundaries between you and the world begin to blur. You no longer experience yourself as a solitary consciousness, confined within skin and bone. You start to sense the invisible web connecting all things. The same life force flowing through trees, oceans, animals, and stars. The divine ceases to be an abstract idea. It becomes tangible, palpable, intimate. You can feel it vibrating behind every encounter, every sound, every heartbeat. This awakening does not isolate you. It integrates you. You become more compassionate, more authentic, more present. People sense your energy before you even speak. A calm gravity that subtly influences the spaces you enter. Conflicts dissolve more easily. Creativity flows without effort. Intuition guides your decisions with quiet precision. You are no longer struggling to make life happen. Life moves through you. Physical transformation follows as well. Your breath regulates your hormonal balance, strengthens immunity, and increases oxygenation to the brain. Many practitioners report deeper sleep, sharper memory, and heightened energy levels. Old patterns of fatigue, anxiety, or tension begin to disappear. What's truly happening is that the body is learning to function in alignment with consciousness, no longer reacting to stress, but responding from awareness. Emotionally, the practice releases decades of suppressed weight. Tears may flow without reason. Laughter may arise spontaneously. Joy may appear in moments that once felt ordinary. These are signs of purification, not instability. The God frequency works like a tuning fork, shaking loose all that is false or stagnant within you. With each session, the alignment becomes stronger until harmony is no longer an occasional experience, but your natural state of being. Over time, the breath becomes less of a technique and more of a living relationship. You begin to feel as though the universe is breathing through you, that each inhalation is a message of love from creation itself, and each exhalation you're offering in return. The separation between the sacred and the mundane disappears. Washing dishes, walking, listening, or even sitting in silence becomes meditation. You realize that entering the God frequency was never about escape. It was about remembering. Remembering that the divine was always here, in the rise and fall of your chest, in every breath that has ever moved through you. This is the transformation, to awaken not as a seeker, but as a participant in the divine symphony of existence. To know that heaven is not somewhere else, but right here, in the quiet rhythm of your own breathing. Once you've felt this truth, life can never return to what it was before. Every breath thereafter becomes a prayer, a promise, and a portal. Across the world, people who have practiced conscious breathing techniques similar to this one report transformations so profound they border on miraculous. Though the God frequency is not bound by religion or dogma, its effects are universal, transcending background, belief, and culture. What changes is not only how they breathe, but how they exist. Consider Elena, a corporate executive who lived in a constant state of tension. Her life revolved around deadlines, caffeine, and restless nights. When she began practicing the breathing technique daily, within 2 weeks her colleagues noticed a change. Her voice softened, her patience expanded, her presence felt grounded. She described feeling as if a fog had lifted. Decisions that once overwhelmed her became clear. She stopped reacting to stress and started responding from stillness. Months later, her blood pressure normalized without medication. She said, "It wasn't the breath that healed me. It was remembering to live again." Then there was Mark, a war veteran haunted by nightmares and trauma. Traditional therapy helped, but only to a point. When he began the God frequency breathwork, something shifted. During one session, he felt a wave of light rise from his spine to the crown of his head. For the first time in years, he cried, not from pain, but release. That night, he slept without fear. Over time, he described his inner state as coming home. Science might call it nervous system regulation. Mark called it grace. Maria, a single mother battling depression, practiced the breathing method before dawn while her children slept. She said the practice gave her something medicine never could, an unshakable faith in her own strength. "It's like touching the pulse of God," she wrote in her journal. "When I breathe this way, I remember that I'm not alone, that I am being breathed by something infinite." Even skeptics who approach the practice from a scientific curiosity found their worldview expanding. One neuroscientist documented her own sessions, measuring heart rate variability, brainwave changes, and hormonal markers. The results astonished her. A 30% increase in heart coherence, gamma bursts in the frontal lobe, and significant reductions in cortisol. Yet beyond the data, she described something indescribable. A feeling of timeless awareness, as if consciousness itself was observing through me. These stories are not about supernatural miracles. They are reflections of what happens when a human being reclaims their divine rhythm. The God frequency is not an external signal beamed from the sky. It's the harmony your body has always known. It's the moment your biology, emotion, and spirit align so perfectly that healing and awakening happen naturally. In daily life, this transformation reveals itself quietly. A person who used to rush now walks with presence. Someone who felt broken begins to laugh again. A creative who lost inspiration finds music flowing through their fingertips. A parent who once felt overwhelmed begins to listen with patience and tenderness. Breath becomes a sacred pause between reaction and wisdom, between fear and love. When practiced consistently, this technique reshapes your perception of reality. You no longer view life as a series of problems to solve, but as patterns to harmonize. Relationships deepen because you listen without defense. Work becomes an act of service rather than struggle. You notice synchronicities, events aligning perfectly, as if the universe itself were breathing in rhythm with you. The beauty of the God frequency is its accessibility. You don't need a temple, a teacher, or a belief system. You need only your willingness to breathe with awareness. The results are inevitable because this practice doesn't add something new to you. It removes what is false, revealing what has always been true. In every story, one theme repeats. Those who touched this frequency no longer fear life. They live it fully, consciously, gratefully, with every breath. After the experience of awakening the God frequency, the next step is integration, weaving the sacred back into the fabric of ordinary life. The goal is not to chase extraordinary moments, but to live in alignment with the divine rhythm in every breath, every action, every word. Enlightenment, after all, is not a distant summit. It is the ability to walk through daily life without losing the pulse of awareness. When you leave your meditation cushion or breathing space, bring the same consciousness into simple acts. As you drink water, feel gratitude for the flow of life moving through you. When you speak, notice the breath that carries your words. When you walk, synchronize your steps with your breathing and heartbeat. These small gestures are not trivial. They are how the infinite expresses itself through the finite. Each moment becomes a continuation of your communion. Breath can also become your compass during challenge. When emotion surges, anger, fear, grief, do not resist it. Pause. Feel your breath. The same pattern that connected you to the divine in stillness can guide you through chaos. Inhale deeply through your nose. Feel the emotion rise. Hold it in awareness and exhale with intention. In that exhalation, let go of identification. You are not the anger, the worry, or the story. You are the consciousness breathing it all. Relationships will begin to mirror your new state of being. People who vibrate in harmony with peace will gravitate toward you. Conversations will deepen, becoming more authentic, more compassionate. You may notice that you speak less, but when you do, your words carry weight. Presence becomes your language. Those around you will feel it, a calm certainty that doesn't need to convince or control. Work and creativity also transform. Ideas flow effortlessly because resistance dissolves. Instead of pushing against life, you move with it. Challenges turn into invitations for expansion. You stop seeking external validation because you feel guided from within, by a subtle intelligence that always knows the next step. This is what the mystics meant when they said, "The universe conspires with the one who breathes consciously." To remain anchored in the God frequency, consistency matters more than intensity. 10 minutes of conscious breathing each morning can recalibrate your entire day. Before sleep, take a few slow breaths to release the residue of the day. With time, awareness, and breath, fuse into one movement, effortless, natural, divine. You no longer Practice the God frequency. You live it. This integration is not an end, but a beginning. Each breath is a new opportunity to remember who you are, a fragment of eternity expressing itself in human form. To live this truth is to embody heaven on earth, not as an ideal, but as a lived experience. In your stillness, others will remember their own. You become not a preacher, but a presence, a quiet mirror reflecting divinity wherever you go. If you've reached this point, something within you has already begun to awaken. You felt the breath as more than air, as energy, spirit, intelligence. The God frequency is no longer a distant mystery. It's alive inside you. But knowing it isn't enough. You must live it. Every day offers you a chance to return to the sacred rhythm, to let each inhalation remind you that you are connected to all of creation, and each exhalation remind you to surrender everything that is not love. Start now. Set aside 10 minutes each morning to breathe with awareness. Make it a ritual, not a task, but an act of devotion. Over time, your breath will guide you effortlessly back into coherence whenever life feels chaotic. You don't need to force change. You simply allow yourself to align with what already is. As you do, you'll notice that the universe begins to respond. Opportunities appear, synchronicities unfold, relationships heal. This is not coincidence, it's resonance. If this message moves something within you, don't let it fade into curiosity. Act on it. Share this video, teach someone the power of conscious breathing, and watch what happens when humanity remembers how to breathe again. Because the moment one person awakens, the collective frequency of the planet rises. So close your eyes one last time. Inhale deeply. Feel the universe expand within you. Exhale softly. Feel it return to stillness. You are not separate from the divine. You are its breath made visible. And with every conscious inhale, you re-enter the God frequency, the pulse of creation that has been waiting patiently inside you all along. 13.